been democracy. Even before independence and post-independence in Zimbabwe, the ZANU-PF has never actually experienced democracy. So without democracy, in fact, the politics that has been the order of the day is actually of a demagogue. And we know in dictatorship there is fear. People do not talk about issues of succession in ZANU-PF. So it has always been force that is used to actually shield a dictator. And the dictator, the longest serving dictator of ZANU-PF, that is Robert Gabriel Mugabe, stayed in power for the longest period of time because he managed to manage the military, especially when he was still fresh and when he was still sharp. That is why the death of military generals are not only starting with Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Even during the tenure of Robert Gabriel Mugabe, he was always spilling the blood of military generals, especially military generals who were perceived to be plotting against him. So Zimbabwean politics has never actually been at peace. Politically, Zimbabwe has not been at peace. If you are actually, if you have to go to the history of Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe has always, in fact, dictatorship has always been the order of the day in Zimbabwe. Hence, ZANU-PF has no succession plan. This is what is also confronting Mnangagwa at the moment. Mnangagwa jumped in and he is enjoying, power comes with a lot of looting. In the language of ZANU-PF, he's looting, he's enjoying love. He has created parallel structures. He sees himself as the most powerful thing that ever happened in Zimbabwe. And also, G40, we know that G40 were ousted by Emerson, in fact, not Mnangagwa, by the military. Mnangagwa's maneuvering to actually align himself with the military. When the G40 had actually successfully politically dealt with him, the military came through and aided Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Now, caption this. Now, the military became powerful in 2017, more powerful to such an extent that when they conducted elections in 2018 and noticed that Mnangagwa was losing, we saw they are the ones who actually made a deployment. People were killed in the streets, and they actually gave Mnangagwa power because he is not electable. Professor Jonathan Moyo understands that notion better than anyone else. Mnangagwa is not electable. So now, the thing is, why then is G40 coming back to work with Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa? Mnangagwa may have, one of the qualities of Mnangagwa is that he's a highly deceptive man. He may have actually deceived these individuals and said, no, I didn't have a problem with you, my brothers. I can actually forgive you. It is the military which had problems with you. And bringing in the G40, G40 is an element of ZANU-PF. It is political strategists like Professor Jonathan Moyo who understood how the way of doing things within ZANU-PF, of course, devilish way of doing things. For example, Robert Gabriel Mugabe, although he may not have liked Professor Jonathan Moyo, but he kept him for the longest period of time because he understood that he had a talent, especially in terms of politically strategizing. As evil as his talent may be, but he sustained his political power for quite some time. That is why in 2008, Jonathan Moyo was not there. ZANU-PF it didn't manage its rigging very, very well. And Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, since Jonathan has never been into ZANU-PF, the rigging of ZANU-PF has been naked. If you watch the naked nature of the rigging of ZANU-PF in 2008, it is the same with 2018 as well as 2023. ZANU-PF without Professor Jonathan Moyo appears not to be managing its rigging. But the rigging of 2013 elections, if I'm not mistaken, 2013, yes, I think they transpired in 2013 elections. I mean, there was no contest afterwards, no court challenge. They rigged. People knew that elections were rigged, but it was so smart, no one could prove anything. Even Morgan Tsvangirai could not even go to court because Jonathan was back. In 2008, Jonathan was not there. So in ZANU-PF, Mnangagwa understand that, how Jonathan is actually a pivot and the importance of actually Professor Jonathan Moyo. Other ones, he doesn't care about them. And at this moment, he knows that Professor Jonathan Moyo, if he uses him, he can actually maneuver around this moment and succeed. Whilst people are actually, everyone is talking, Professor Jonathan Moyo will always have a way of managing this situation until the conclusive nature of the situation. From the look of the things, I think I have said that Professor Jonathan Moyo and all those former G40 members, look at them. Xavier Kasukwere, he spoke long time ago that not to 2030, but he has been silent. All of a sudden, no action that he is seemingly doing. Wherever he is hiding or recording a video and saying something against it, is suspected to be running a ghost account that is better and gang. Obvious, which is insulting to the people of Matebeleland. And from the look of things, and also Xavier Kasukwere, as much as he was saying no to 2030, he has never said anything or condemned Professor Jonathan Moyo for actually aligning and being the brains behind 2030 and Sengezo Chabangu. He has never said anything about this. Now, this tells me these people schemed with Professor Jonathan Moyo. They have got a long-term program that they want to achieve. And also, it may necessarily not in the interest of making Mnangagwa to be the winner out of all this. In fact, Professor Jonathan Moyo may be bringing also Mnangagwa closer to be in a position to manage him. There is a possibility. So this marriage, and you can see this marriage lacks trust. The marriage between G40 and Mnangagwa, it lacks a lot of trust. There have been so many leakages from Professor Jonathan Moyo, even the lawyer, some of the loyalists of Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa, they are even asking him, do you trust this man? And there is a school of thought that Jonathan Moyo is not necessarily doing this in the interest of Mnangagwa, but he is really collaborating with Zwikananda. So this is ZANU-PF trying to unite enemies, uniting, and at the moment what they are trying to shield is the military influence. So all these military changes that Mnangagwa is busy effecting, we know that one of the boys of Mnangagwa, Ziambi, flew to Kenya recently, definitely was going to get the notes from Professor Jonathan Moyo on how to actually maneuver around this situation as a political strategist. But now it remains to be seen what exactly is the end game of Professor Jonathan Moyo. Because if the end, and also Professor Jonathan Moyo understands the risk at the moment. As much as he is assisting Mnangagwa against the military, he knows that at the moment there is no clear-cut winner between the two factions. And in the audio that we heard, instructing Mnangagwa and others to actually contain protest. That audio was actually telling, because in that audio, he acknowledged that the people of Zimbabwe may rise against this, and if especially opposition political parties and media is allowed to operate freely, the situation may turn chaotic. And Jonathan understands the consequences of the moment that Zimbabwe is in at the moment. But the thing is, what is the end game? Does he think, or G40 members think they are safe if they remove Chiwenga and be left with Mnangagwa? Do they trust Mnangagwa? I don't think it's all about, and most probably Professor Jonathan Moyo may have learned that Mnangagwa is a sick man at the moment. In my view, I am of the firm view that there may be a deal between Jonathan Moyo and Mnangagwa Shetakwire. They know that if Mnangagwa Shetakwire wins, then they can actually maybe be safe to return to Zimbabwe or strike some deal of some sort, because as much as Mnangagwa Shetakwire is an ally of Mnangagwa, but I don't remember of any clashes between Professor Jonathan Moyo and Mnangagwa Shetakwire, as well as also the most of these G40 members. A deal may have been struck, not necessarily with Mnangagwa, because Professor Jonathan Moyo and Mnangagwa are sworn enemies. But to actually get rid of Mnangagwa, Professor Jonathan Moyo has to pretend to be at the moment sympathizing and working for Mnangagwa in the longest run, looking forward to actually nail the final nail on the coffin. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button, so that next time when we